It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No. We're gonna watch and listen.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another edition of Paranormal Plus with Grizzly and Tracy Inman.
Hello
everybody.
Everyone.
Hello, Tracy.
Hey, Grizz, how you doing?
Standing Stone. Doing fine. How's everybody doing? Hey, don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you can support us by sending stars. Help us earn more money to make more content. Yes, we got that feature enabled. How's everybody doing? Hello, Luna. Welcome everybody to the show. Hello, Mort. Welcome. So, Tracy, how you been doing?
Doing good, man. Just having a little internet issue here at the house. So if I start getting too off and on, I'll just go to my phone and get through there. I live at the bottom of a hill, and if it's cloudy out, sometimes I don't get good reception. So, but how are you doing, buddy?
Oh, doing good. Yeah, just dealing with the paranormal like always. You know, the dolls and stuff being thrown and stuff being it's been very active like always. So so what's been going on with you? Anything new going on or anything interesting, I should say?
Oh, hey, well, not paranormal, but I do have an album out finally for country music. So check it out.
Yeah,
It's called It's called It's About Time.
Tell me about that.
You guys knew, I think everybody knew I had a couple songs out already. One was on the radio. It's played about 500 times on Small Market. It's called On Facebook, but I got another one coming out July 4th called I'm Drunk Again. It's actually a pretty up-to-date kick butt song. And everybody that's listened to it so far has given me positive feedback on it. So that's much appreciated. But it's on all the streaming platforms right now. If people want to go look at it. But the whole album's, I'm proud of it. It's a good album. So my bucket list is done.
Yeah. No, it's never done. So I actually got you set up with somebody else that we're going to have on next show. Kelly from UK. She actually lives in a house in UK that's actually a pub. So hopefully we can hook you up with her and with her encounters while you're over there too. So who do you got lined up tonight? I heard somebody it's very interesting.
Yeah, it's he has his own radio show. His name's Henry San Miguel. Let me pull it up here. I actually went on his show a couple months ago, right when I started Paralink.com, and he's a big supporter of it, and he's got a pretty good following. He's been talking into a microphone since the age of 10 and a paranormal experiencer since the age of 4. He's got a 4-decade long career in radio. It allows him to meet very influential figures in the paranormal field, including Art Bell from Coast to Coast AM. It's been a big influence on how he runs his own show, and his name of his show is Paranormal Perception. It's got a big audience. He's a super great guy. He's not interested in answers or evidence. He's had plenty of those over the years. Henry makes the paranormal an experience, whether on the show or at live events, including his own. He has what's called the OC Paracon. It's in Anaheim, California, and it's a pretty big one. And actually, Paralink.com will have some stuff there. You can go to www.paranormalperception.show if you guys want to check out his check out his show. He's super great guy.
Awesome.
Really nice person. He really is.
Awesome. Catherine, Gay, where you do is you go to, for the stars, you go to Grizzly Chris on the Facebook. I can't even type. Grizzly Chris. I think that's where you have to go to do the stars on Facebook on my page. You can't do it through YouTube, but yeah, but anything like that, I greatly appreciate it. That's how you do it. But yeah, let's go ahead and bring Henry on. Henry, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. Greatly appreciate it. Let's bring some Hollywood Squares in. Thank you, sir. How you doing?
Hey guys, doing good. How are you guys doing?
Wonderful. Thank you, sir.
Doing good.
So tell us all about yourself. I don't know too much about you. So introduce yourself to our audience and everybody.
Okay, well, like Tracy said, I'm starting with my paranormal experience because we're talking paranormal here. Started like Tracy said when I was 4 years old. That was I grew up in a house in San Francisco, which as you'll probably find out as we go on, I call it now the haunted mansion because it was just a hive of activity all the time. It wasn't like only at night. It was all the time. It didn't matter who was up, who was there, who was visiting. There was all kind of stuff going on. And I'm sure we'll get into those stories in a second. But like I said, it started when I was 4 years old. I don't remember the time, but it was late at night. I woke up and I saw people walking out of my closet, which number one is weird because why are people in my closet? And I knew, even my 4-year-old mind, I knew they weren't alive. They didn't look like monsters or ghosts or anything like it. It was just, I just knew that they weren't alive. And so I did what most of us would have done when we were 4. We turned on the light and put the covers over our head. Didn't come out again till the sun came out. Light was still on, which told me it did happen. They weren't there anymore, obviously. But from that point on, as I always say on the show and when I talk to people, when somebody experiences something supernatural, paranormal, one day with something scary, one of two things will happen. Either most normal people run for the hills, want nothing to do with it. Others, like all of us here listening and the three of us, will go towards it, want to know more. I don't know if you want to get, and I know a lot of people say I want to get answers. I don't know if you ever will get answers, and especially those that are professionals in the paranormal. I mean, I don't think you want answers because if that's the case, you gotta retire. What are you going to research? You got your answer. So, I wanted to know who those people were. Why were they there? Where did they come from? And that started my journey. I guess we could call it a lifelong journey into learning more about why certain people. Because I know not everybody experiences things, but why certain people experience things. Why do they see things? And especially when I started to learn that there are people that have psychic abilities. They can not just see them, but they can actually speak to people from the other side. That to me, honestly, was the coolest thing when I first learned about it. So I wanted to know more about that. And as life went on, completely by accident, radio came into my life, and I've been doing that forever, it seems like, and now obviously online. And so that honestly allowed me to really, especially because I did music radio, and in music radio, I think it's still the case today. I know not a lot of people listen to radio and terrestrial radio anymore, but even in music radio, I think it's still the case today where they never talk about scary stuff or the paranormal except on Halloween, October and Halloween. That's when you talk about it. And then even then they don't really take it seriously, but those that allowed me to meet psychics, meet people that work in the paranormal, people, and like Tracy mentioned in the intro, I got to. Well, I knew about Coast to Coast AM before I got into radio, and then when I switched from music to talk radio, that was actually my first job running Coast to Coast. We were the San Francisco affiliate, and one thing I will always remember now, especially because he's not with us, is getting the chance to talk to Art twice on the phone. Because things were, something was happening with the show, but still, to me, it was like cool. I just talked to Art Bell. But being on the radio, that allowed me to meet a lot of different people from the paranormal, especially Halloween when they would bring them in. I was doing a lot of morning shows, so they would just do morning show kind of stuff, playing the sound effects and not really taking it seriously. I was the only one that did take them seriously, and they all knew that. So on commercial breaks, when we were done, they would take me aside and ask me, "What? You're the only one that you're laughing, doing whatever the guys are doing, but you're the only one that actually takes it serious. Why is that?" And then I would tell them about my experiences, and I learned a lot more from them. Some are still friends, but that long answer. Wonder why I do talk radio now, but that's pretty much who and what I am. I've never had a quote unquote a real job. Everything has been in mainly radio, but something in media. Now I have a production company, so we do documentaries, TV shows, pre and post production, audio, and all kinds of stuff. But it's always been something like that. The paranormal. I'm not a researcher. I'm not a paranormal professional. I mean, I have the show Paranormal Perception, and like I said, I treat it a lot like the classic AM coast to coast, like classic AM talk radio show, where I don't do it video like what you guys we're doing right now. And when you listen to it, it doesn't sound like a podcast. And what I mean by that is it does sound like a radio show. It has music, imaging, commercial breaks, and we have guests. Sometimes it's just us talking amongst ourselves. And the show Paranormal Perception, I branded as not the same old paranormal, and that was the reason why I wanted to do the show to begin with, because when I decided to do Paranormal Perception, at the time there were already a lot of paranormal podcasts out there, and a lot of them, they're still around. A lot of them are run by people that have decades of experience, people that do this on a regular basis. But one thing I noticed, if you listen to a lot of paranormal shows, most of them, no matter how they brand themselves, eventually, sometimes it takes about a nanosecond, but sometimes it takes a little bit. It does turn into what you think of when you hear paranormal. I went to this house and the REM pod went off, and this, and I saw a shadow, and I saw, and after a while, it's like, okay, what next? With Paranormal Perception, that is where I'm taking the paranormal into the what's next. Not answers again. Like I said, we're never going to get those until we get to the other side. Even psychics aren't going to get those answers. But what I want to know is, instead of look at my team, we're the world renowned this, or look at this, look at that, it's what about their story? What are they trying to tell us? Why are those lights going off? What story do they want to share with the world? Could it be that it's an unsolved crime, and they're trying to tell us, hey, my killer was so and so, but we're so busy with that. Look! We're the number one team. We got a REM pod that went off. We've had plenty of that. There's today, especially in 2023, you don't need to convince people that there's something out there. If you're not going to believe, you're not going to believe. But most people, they know something's out there at this point, and I get it from the listeners. And when I do events, they tell me, we're ready for the what's next. We're ready for hearing their stories. We know they're there. Now, what are they trying to tell us? So that's, again, long answer, but that's what me and what the show is about.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It would be awesome if somebody did invent something that would actually you could prove 100% without a doubt what happens, like you're saying, after the hunt, or during the hunt, or you're able to get in there and edit. And, some people catch apparitions, or they'll catch a door close or something like that. But it would be awesome to be able to determine why, like you said, why they're there. What do they need to get moving on, and do they need closure on who, like you said, who killed them, anything like that? That's pretty cool. Never really thought about that far into it,
Yeah. Well, there's another part of that again, I'm not an investigator, I'm not a researcher, but I have been on investigations in the background. With my production company, I have filmed TV shows and documentaries, so I observe at least how investigations are done. One thing that I always thought of is, like I said, most people, when they do this, they love that we got evidence and we got the best evidence ever. Wait till you watch this episode. but you're talking about people's family members. You're talking about humans. It's not a thing. It's humans that we're talking about. Sometimes they could be entities or spirits. With my co-host, my guys on Anything Supernatural, they don't deal with and most indigenous people, that's why they don't go and investigate. They don't deal with human spirits because they're not supposed to anyway in their culture. But they do deal with entities and spirits, not demonic. Sometimes they are the bad ones, but even then they don't refer to them as demons. But I always think of it as we're talking about, even though the REM pod's going off, we're getting a yes or a no if we're doing EVPs. That's somebody's family member. That's somebody's friend, husband, father, dad, grandfather, whoever it is. And so, unfortunately, I see this on TV and also on just real world investigations. Not all investigators, they don't all show the kind of respect they should towards spirits because they used to be human.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you 100%. I see people going there and they'll holler out something, just being a jerk to them, and to me, you're either going to make them mad or they're just not going to respond,
Yeah.
What about you, Chris?
Yeah, my thing though is that, however you are on this side of the realm is how you're going to be on that side of the realm as well. So if you're a mad person, when you pass, you're going to be on that side as well, on the spiritual side. But, if you're not getting activity now, trying to provoke something, and being disrespectful and screaming and cussing and being vulgar and being disrespectful, I mean, I don't think that's the right way to go. That's just my professional opinion. Now, does that make you get views and get watchers and make your YouTube counters tick? I guess it does, but, I think there's right ways and wrong ways to do things. You're in the show business. You do the productions and stuff. But I always tell people, some days, just like watching people that go fishing for a living, right? You don't see people in real life catch 7 or 8 fish in an hour in real life. I'm sorry, that just does not happen. So, so put that in perspective. But, there's days that things do not happen. But
Yeah.
try to manifest things to make yourself look better. And this is where, now with CGI, IGC, focus and like say REM pods and make your electronics go off to look at my evidence. Well, yeah, everybody can get that. Unfortunately, we can hide magnets, we can do this and that to make our electronic devices go off and so forth. But like you said, what is the next best thing's going to happen? What is? So I do a crime show on Fridays, and I do missing person cases, code cases, murder cases that are unsolved. And I also deal with psychics and people that have abilities. After I do the cases, I'll bring them on the following show, and they go into it blindly. And the only thing they get is a picture of the person that we are trying to find out about. And we call that the target. And they don't know anything about the case. And we get information from them to try to help the family member or the local law enforcement agency to help them with either recover the body or to help solve the case. So I do understand where you're coming from and your aspects and the information you're talking about. And I do respect that. I mean, it goes a long way. I do concur with that. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What you were saying, Grizzly, about fishing, spoiler alert for everybody, going fishing, it's not just about the fish.
No, it's not. Yeah, I couldn't tell you how many times I have drowned worms, my kind sir, and spent hours out there in that hot sun or underneath the shade tree. But I was just relaxed,
Yeah,
and enjoying myself, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's, you know, and a lot of people don't understand that. You know, they want that thrill, and a lot of people see things off TV and they're like, oh, I want to do that, and you know, they go out and do it. Next thing you know, they come home with attachments and they call me and when they need help and they need cleansing, they need their house cleansed, and it's just all goes downhill. And they're like, man, you can't, you know, stuff you see on TV, ladies and gentlemen, ain't the right way to do things most of the time, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sorry. It's not how things work, unfortunately. But, you know, that is the perception that a lot of people, you know, take hold of, and that's the gospel for a lot of people. Yeah. So I do understand where you're coming from, and I do agree. Now, I like the way Tracy does his investigations. And there are a lot of people out there that do incredible investigations, you know, that do the right way and that are credible and do put the right foot forward. And it's interesting. And I'll tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if you've never been on a ghost hunt, it is boring as hell. Because it's not like what you see on TV in 47 minutes, not counting the commercials, right? An hour. You know, because a lot of times stuff doesn't happen on command. So I know, because
or if it is happening, it's, you know, electric right there underneath the floor where they got their, you know, REM pods sitting, or some type of energy making that equipment go off. Right. You know, and if it's like that all night, then you got to debunk it. You got to try to debunk it all, right?
Here, let me get my cell phone behind it there. There we go. Now we got some activity going on.
So you can take a novice to a haunted place, and they're not going to know any better than that right there, right? Because you know, you want to give them entertainment too, but you know, we don't really do public hunts. It's typically just the four of us, my wife, the camera person, and we just, you know, we try to debunk anything that we get, and if we can't debunk it, we can't debunk it, you know, and you know, just there's only been a few things really in 4.5 years of doing this that I can't debunk. You know, I had a tricycle move on its own, caught on camera while we weren't watching it. And we had a lady laugh in the middle of basically nowhere. There's no possible way somebody could have laughed, and we got it on tape, you know. And then an orb, of all things, because I really don't strongly believe in orbs, but I do have an orb opening the door, right? So it's a lot of evidence that we gathered, but as a skeptic at some times, which I tend to be, I have to debunk it. And the majority of the stuff I can debunk, you know, and Henry brought up a great point about, you know, everybody has REM pods. Everybody has this piece of equipment. Everybody has that piece of equipment. So it's really not any different than any other team. But there are a lot of people that I've talked to over the last 6 months, especially with Paralink.com and all these podcasts that I was doing with them. There are a lot of people coming up with different ways. Barometric pressure, for instance, I would have never thought that would have anything to do with, you know, with ghost hunting, you know, and I'm not saying it works or doesn't work, but at least they're trying and they're coming up with new equipment, you know, so that's always good for not just the entertainment value, but if you can actually get a piece working like that, you know what I mean? I mean, it's good for the community, I think, anyway.
So, well, yeah, I get that. That's actually I remember one of the first conversations we had when you guys came on for Paralinked. Everybody wants new equipment or the most state of the art, but I've talked about this with many guests on my show. I don't know if you guys have brought up with your guest. You can have the latest equipment, the something that nobody else has, but the evidence or whatever you get. My question, again, with paranormal perception, the direction with it is still at the end of the day, and you get all this, and that's the what's next part.
Exactly.
Oh, it sounds like we're losing a little bit there, Henry.
Losing him or me?
Henry. We're not hearing what he's saying.
I got you guys. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, did you get that last part, Grizzly?
No.
Yeah,
no.
The what next?
Yeah.
I heard what next.
Yeah, basically you're getting all this high tech equipment, the latest toy, the newest toy that nobody else has, but the evidence that you get is still the end of the day, it's still the question. And okay, everybody gets a shadow, a dust, a this, a that, and that's what paranormal perception is about. Not for answers, it's to make you like. How about it's been Ghost Adventures? I'll say because they're the top ones. They've been around before Ghost Hunter started, but then Ghost Adventures, Zach and the boys have taken over. They're the top ones, so I'll use them just because of that. They've trained people, like you guys were saying a second ago. They've trained people to expect when you go on, especially us people that are watching us right now. We know how to do it right. We, like you were saying, Grizzly, earlier. When it's done right, an investigation, it should be boring if you're doing it right. It shouldn't be people running around and screaming and tainting the whatever evidence you are going to get. It's already hard enough to get evidence without half the team running around and screaming like, "Oh my God, what is that? What do you see that?" Shh, okay, everyone, quiet. That's not how it's done. But the TV shows, they've trained people to think that. The Paranormal Perception is one of the shows, and I'm noticing a few podcasts and a few other people, they are starting to go this route now, where in my guys, Unearthing the Supernatural, for sure, they do that on their investigations. It's not about the evidence. It's about, again, telling the spirit story, telling the story of the location. One of their sayings is think beyond written history. I'll use something like we all know about the Winchester Mystery House. We know about Waverly Hills. But what was there even before Waverly Hills was built? There was something on the land that is still, that's the reason why that this is all there. Did it draw whoever designed the sanatorium, whoever built it there? Was it calling to them in some way? And that's why to this day, you're still getting these hauntings. So those are the kind of things that we need to start talking about it again, because I consider it a real blessing having met these guys and having them be my co-host on Earth and Supernatural, because they're from the Navajo tribe, and not all indigenous people are like this, but they happen to be, especially it's two brothers. The older brother, he happens to be a medicinal man, and he has been chosen by their elders to carry on all their traditions and all the teachings that they have, and so we did an episode of last year around this time, 4th of July, where we talked about the haunted history of America before America was America. And they described how the indigenous people back then, to them, it wasn't the way we see paranormal. It wasn't like that at all. It was like part of their life. The way we're talking right now, they could sit and speak not just to their ancestors, to their family ghosts, but also to spirits of the land, spirits that were connected to weather and all kinds of things, and some other things that probably would terrify us today if they were still around. So
Yeah.
we need to, and they're not, super people. They're not exceptionally gifted. That's just the way it was back then. They had no internet, no noise, no distractions like we do today. So if we really want to understand the paranormal, what's been, John Zaffis is a good friend of mine. Every time he comes on, he always says, "I'm all just dirt." He's been doing it for almost 50 years, as long as I've been alive at this point. So for 50 years, and his aunt and uncle before that, and Hans Holzer even going to that time, and even before that, into the 1800s, I think it's been long enough. I think it is time for us to not be afraid to ask the what next, ask the other questions other than, well, this is going to get me views, this is going to get me that. Another thing, I think Grizzly, or forget if it's Grizzly or Tracy brought this up. I think it was Grizzly. You were saying that when people do these kind of shows on YouTube, the TV shows, the paranormal TV shows, and that's all. Basically, that's all it is. They're running around, they're yelling, and now we don't know what this is and all that. I think, like Grizzly said, yeah, that's what the audiences want. But I did an entire episode on paranormal perception talking about that, not how you do the shows, but what does that say about the audience? Do they really want paranormal, or do they just want something funny to watch?
Yeah, absolutely. And Henry makes a very good point, and this is why we call it entertainment. And that's what people want, and entertainment sells. And ladies and gentlemen, speaking of entertainment, we'll be right back. Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Paranormal Plus with Grizzly and Tracy Inman. This edition is brought to you by Western Kentucky Bigfoot Paranormal Investigations by Don Wyden. Thank you, sir. And we have Henry with us today, and he's actually true, speaking the truth about what the audience is actually wanting.
You know,
I'm sorry, seen on TV, Tracy. Yeah,
it all boils down to oh god dang, I just had attention span. Is what my personal feelings are, right? Like Henry was saying, people nowadays want to get to the money shot. You know, they want to see the evidence at the end of the show. I mean, I'm 53 years old, and in the last couple of years, you know, I'd rather fast forward to the end on some things and watch the whole show. You know, if you, I'll give you an example. Like 5.5 years ago, my friend Tom and I and That Paranormal, we did Facebook Lives. We still do Facebook Lives when the people let us do it, you know, because we do a lot of private houses now. But we were doing a cemetery, and people would follow us for an hour and a half, you know, and they wouldn't even sign off. Now you see them pop on, and they're hopping on, hopping in, hopping out, you know, because they want to see that evidence. Or you'll see them, you know, you'll get a comment on them the next day saying, you know, talking exactly. It's a, you know, look at TikTok. I mean, that's why TikTok's so popular. You're just watching a quick 1-minute video, you know. That's why we did that with Paralinks. We put the 1-minute video on there, hoping that people would post their evidence, and some people have taken advantage of it. So, you know, but that's the money shot. That's what the people want to see. My thoughts, anyway.
What do you think, Henry?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, Tracy. Unfortunately, no, I was going to say it's not going to change. The reality is actually it is. And I talked about this on my show. I'm sure everybody watching us now, if you're into the paranormal, into the paranormal TV shows, you saw the drama that was going on, the shows being canceled, all that. I said on the air at the time, everybody calm down. A lot of it was just for legal reasons. They weren't canceled. They were moved. Now I can say it because it's out. A lot of the shows that were on travel, they were moving to what is now Max. It used to be HBO Max. Now it's just Max, and it carries all of those shows. So all they were doing was renegotiating how much money they're going to get for being on a big streaming network rather than just Discovery Plus, which wasn't that big. It was mainly for paranormal. So there was that, but there's also some other shows that have been canceled. And the reason why is because people just got tired of them, really. And even the biggest ones, Ghost Adventures, again, all of those, they, like all entertainment, they do have an expiration date. People grow up, people get tired, because if that wasn't the case, we'd still be watching the A-Team and Dukes of Hazzard and Knight Rider today. But things change. People's taste in entertainment, they change. Same thing with paranormal. Right now, for the last, 18, 20, almost 20 years now, it's been cool to watch grown guys go into a room, run around, dude, something touch me. What is that? Can you believe that? What is that? And get possessed every other show. Sometime, and the time is now, I'm hearing it from the people themselves, they're tired of it. They're ready for something new. They're ready for new people. And by new people, it means new investigators. Like Tracy was saying, his team, they have a different way of doing investigations. It may not be exciting, but it's a lot more accurate, a lot more. Yeah, it could be boring. Now, the problem with that is networks, they're not gonna invest in something that's boring. I mean, any Hollywood studio is not gonna do that. Why horror is so big is because of the jump scares. Even with what they call the elevated horror films, like the Jordan Peele movies, Get Out, and things like that. Even those, they still have to have some jump scares, some Hollywood moments. But then even with horror films, they're never gonna do something boring, something where you take the 2 hours to try to figure out the history of the house. Why is it haunted? I could just look that up in the book, or show my age on what do you call it, online on Google or something. So the time is now. It is changing. You're going to see a lot of changes. I can't talk about that yet, but there are some shows coming soon. I have nothing to do with them. I just happen to know the people that in the production side that are different. They do approach not just investigating, but just the paranormal, the supernatural. A lot like I do with paranormal perception. To me, the word paranormal, it doesn't automatically mean ghosts. Paranormal to me means everything, and encompasses UFOs, UAPs, alien abductions, Bigfoot, all cryptids, even as what I refer to as glitches in the matrix, even real world. I did a lot of that, especially in 2020 that through 2023 now. Everything that's happening in the real world, there's paranormal right there. Just look out your window and there's paranormal for you right there. So these new shows, they're going to cover a little bit of the real world, a little bit of how we get affected by stuff that is paranormal or supernatural. All I can say, again, I can't say too much, but all I can say is change is coming. Now, whether people will actually like it, that remains to be seen. And actually, I'm looking forward to seeing not the shows, but how people react to the shows once they do start coming out.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting because excitement sells, action sells. So it is going to see how people are going to react and how they're going to respond. So that is going to be interesting because I always looked at that. And, I look at, for example, I look at people's YouTube videos and I'm like, do what? And I'm like, they got 1.7 million views because somebody did that. And I'm like, that is like well, I ain't going to say that word on the air, but I'm like, that is silly. That does not make any sense. And then you look at somebody that really has a very good video and it's got some backing to it, and they only got like X amount that does not add up to a hill of beans. So to me, it just does not add up. And I don't know where you stand on that, Tracy, but that's where I stand. No,
I'm the same way. I was reading FDL's comment there about the experience. Now, Henry, just so you know, they're from the UK. And they're one of the groups that I talk to, and I actually believe they're trying to do what you're wanting, which is trying to find the what's next. They're not stopping at just the regular equipment. They're thinking outside the box to try to go further into to try to get those answers. Talk with Michael Lewis and his group. They're a good group, and they're one of the ones that I've noticed out of all the ones that I've talked to that are actually trying to go above and beyond. And actually, if they had a show, I probably would watch it just because they it's not just excitement. They dive into the history and they explain it, and just a good group of hunters. If you ever get a chance, check out that FDL Paranormal. They're a good group. But yeah, no, Chris, I agree with you. Over the last 6 months, 5 months, I've dove into trying to get Paralinked out there, for instance, right? And you look at this other stuff that are, people of their groups are gaining 3,000 people a month, and I'm like, wait, mine's gaining 300 people a month or 500 people a month. What are they doing that I'm not doing? Because I'm not much of a marketer, but I do believe that when people see the site and they actually visit it and do things on it, it's worth their time and it's free. That was my whole pitch. Is it's free. You got a place to go. You can do this, do that, whatever. Same thing with the music stuff. Trying to get the music out. It's the same exact thing, right? You look at some of these other songs getting 30 million hits. And of course, I'm biased because it's mine. But how do you get that stuff out there? So. When you see those other people doing something like you were talking about, getting 1.5 million hits for something that you would probably do every single time you hunt, how's that happening? So that's my thoughts on that. So went off on a tangent.
Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, Henry, I can stub my toe. and probably say a few words and probably get 500,000 hits in an episode. It doesn't make any sense. But then you have somebody that's credible with some good evidence and it's calm, cool, and collective and doesn't get any look of recognition or get any, but get recognized on YouTube or any channels for what they get presented and show people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there actually are answers as to why, but a lot of people don't want to hear the actual answer. The real one is I talk to people in the entertainment industry, actors, radio hosts, people that executives, even people that run radio stations, TV networks, movie studios. Not with Paranormal Perception, but I also do another show again now that where I talk to them again. It's kind of like having San Diego Comic-Con every week, so I get to talk to them a lot. And for years, especially now, how with what social media has become, with where the age of the influencer and the content creators, we've done that. We meaning someone like me who's been in radio forever, and so have they. And they've been acting and all that. They've been doing that. They just don't call it. It used to be called acting. It used to be called directing, writing, whatever it was. The problem, the truth why, like, you're not, Tracy, you're not doing anything wrong. Grizz, you're not doing anything wrong, honestly. And anybody watching this who started a channel, a podcast, anything talking about paranormal, and you're getting 10 views, maybe 100 views, 200 views, you're not doing anything wrong. I'm looking at the camera. You're not doing anything wrong. I'm telling you. Take it from somebody who's lived in front of a microphone and camera for pretty much my entire life. You're not doing anything wrong. What it is that people have learned to accept mediocrity as entertainment. There used to be, all three of us, I think, are old enough to remember Siskel and Ebert. There was a reason why they were so good. They used to tell you this movie's good, and then they went into it, but they never told you why you should think it's good. They never told you why you should like this movie or not like this movie. They just told you why they didn't. And it was funny. Sometimes they both got in an argument when they disagreed, but they never told you how to think or not think about a song, a movie, a book, anything. Today, especially with social media, that's all it is. People telling you it's a herd mentality. People telling you that this movie's good, this movie's bad, this actor's good. The cancel culture we have. This guy is a good guy. This guy's a bad guy. This is that. And I know this because about almost 13 years ago, when I first started the other podcast that I do, it wasn't this bad. It started getting this bad around the time when the new Star Wars movies, when those started coming out. That's when I started seeing people online, especially in the middle of the sequel trilogy that came out. That's when people really started coming out, and because a group of people said this movie's bad, it is bad. And I learned nobody actually watched the movie, because this guy that I follow told me it was bad, so I know it's bad, but you haven't seen the movie. But the guy that I follow told me that it's bad, but you haven't seen the movie. It's kind of like going to a restaurant or not going to a restaurant because your neighbor says, I got indigestion from their food. Well, that was just one time. That doesn't mean everyone that goes there is going to have indigestion. It's kind of the same thing here. Just because everybody on social media doesn't like Tracy stuff, or doesn't like what Grizzly does, or doesn't like what the videos, or I don't even do it, but what doesn't do doesn't like the shows that Henry puts out, that doesn't mean we three are doing bad shows. It just means that those people are telling you what to do. And I always say, people don't like hearing this because, again, it's like looking in the black mirror. You have to admit that it's not us, the creators, it's you, the consumers of it, that don't get it. We're giving you something good. The thing is, you're so used to accepting mediocrity, like I said, that you just can't, at this point, you just can't tell when something is good or not. That's part of it. On social media, on the internet, another thing, a lot of these paranormal on YouTube and TikToks and all that stuff, another thing, and it's true, you can just go on there and look. Not all of them, but some of them. Part of the reason why they get so many views is because it has nothing to do with paranormal. Look at the person that's doing their, oh my gosh, I'm scared or whatever. They could be a model. So that's the reason why they're getting 1 million views. It has nothing to do with the paranormal. They're doing it right. They don't even, the people watching them, believe me, they're not watching. They're not looking at it for paranormal. There's that side also. So none of us are doing anything wrong. It's just the audience, unfortunately, at this point has been trained to accept mediocrity, and that's what we're seeing everywhere.
Well, damn it, Henry, I'm sexy, man. Come on now.
Yeah, I was thinking I might just have to take my shirt off during these podcasts. Probably.
Oh, wait. Breaking news. This is where we get to tell everybody you can order the calendar with Grizzly and Tracy for Christmas.
Oh, man. I don't know about Grizzly, but I don't know if anybody wants to buy mine. I can tell you that.
That's funny. But no, I mean, Henry, I mean, there's validity to that. And he's actually speaking the truth on that. And he's right. I mean, that's why some actors, actually succeed in certain movie roles and perform well and actually get more money in certain roles and titles of movies. So yeah, you're right. Absolutely. So, and no, Barb, we're not going into the ditch. Not tonight. So yes. So absolutely. Poor Henry's like, what? It's a long story, Henry. But that's when we go off the track and we start going kind of into the ditch. But we're not going to go there with you. But no, you're right. Go ahead, Tracy.
Oh no, you're right. So Henry's got something pretty cool coming up in October. You want to talk about it, Henry?
Yeah, I'm gonna go trick or treating all over my neighborhood. Oh no, that's everybody.
That's it. Yeah. Get a lot of candy.
This is the second year we're gonna do it. It's called OC Paracon, Orange County Paracon, OC Paracon for short. And this is something that I've been thinking about for a while, tied into the paranormal perception to the show. It was an idea that I wanted to do in 2020 because I moved to Anaheim at the end of 2019. So I figured, when you make a big move like that, you figured, okay, new location, new studios, let's try something bigger. So I said, let's do an event because when I got here, and I've been here before, I went to school at USC, so I know the LA area, I know Anaheim, not just for Disneyland, but I cover other events here before. I've done the Paracons with in fact, Paranormal Perception was born. It debuted, made its debut live during a Paracon back in 2018. So I've covered Paracons before. But when I got here, I asked a lot of different people, paranormal TV people, people that are just teams of investigators here in the LA area. I've asked them, have you guys ever attended a Paracon here in LA or over here in Orange County? And they had to think about it. No, they never have. I was shocked, honestly, because as most people watching know, LA pretty much has everything. They have obviously movies. We have Disneyland over here in Anaheim. We've got Knott's Berry Farm, Knott's Scary Farm for Halloween. Universal, the Universal Horror Nights. They have that. They have Midsummer Scream. They have Film Festival. We have everything: concerts, baseball, football, all sports. The Lakers, obviously, Dodgers. But we don't have Paracons for some reason. We have, like I said, Midsummer Scream, San Diego Comic-Con, but those are horror film festivals. I've always said there is a difference between the horror audience and the paranormal audience. A real quick way to define that is the horror audience, they want the jump scares. They want Freddy to come out and get him or Jason to come and kill him. The paranormal audience, they want to understand Jason. Why is he hunting people? Why is he killing people? So that's the difference between the two. But we've never had an actual paranormal conference here in Anaheim. So I figured, why not me? Let's do it. 2020 told me why not me, because none of us did anything that year. So 21, we were going to do it, but again, we still weren't sure that we had the hotel, everything ready to go, but we had to go virtual like most things did that year because still we weren't sure. Last year, 22 was the first time we did it in person. It was a huge hit because there'd never been one before. And I bring to the way I do OC Paracon, it is different. Also, like the podcast, it is different than the typical Paracon, paranormal conference, where paranormal conferences are just speaker after speaker after speaker after speaker, and probably ends with a ghost hunt or something like that at night. This one, I pattern it more like San Diego Comic Con or a WonderCon, or not a Midsummer Scream, but more of those kind of entertainment based conventions, actually, not conferences. Still keeping the paranormal and the conference to it though. So we do have speakers, but all of the speakers, they're not about look at me, my team is I'm world renowned, I'm this, I'm the number one this. They may be, but they don't talk about it's very interactive. They give you workshops on, for example, one of the big ones that everybody loved last year was the one that kicked the whole thing off. It was with Peter Orbea. He's in Washington, and he did an entire presentation on you. So you went on an investigation. It was a great investigation, great evidence, EVPs, pictures, video, everything. Now, how do you go through all that evidence and what actually is evidence? Evidence that you would even the most skeptic of skeptics would have a hard time saying, like, I can't believe that. Even they would have a hard time. How do you do that? So he showed people how to do that. You had other people showing you how to read your palms. It was a palm, and I was funny because nobody looked at him the whole time. They were busy looking at their palms during the whole presentation. What I'm saying is that most of the speakers that we have, yeah, they're in the paranormal. They're professionals. Obviously, they're authors. And I don't have. Other than Patty Dagger is a friend of mine, but other than that, I don't have a lot of TV celebrities on purpose because I don't want it to be about them. I don't want this to be the travel conference because that's where most of them live now. So I don't want it to be all travel all the time, all ghost adventures all the time. I want people to go there and learn from the presentations. I do have them go back to back to back. There's no breaks in between. And that's a good and bad thing. For me, it was a barometer. And a lot of the attendees, they came up to me during and even after, and they said they loved it because they were starving, because they wanted. They kept telling themselves, "We're going to go get something to eat after this one." But the next one was a good one. And the speaker after that was an even better one. And a lot of them, what I really love to hear, a lot of them came to me and said that they learned some things about the paranormal that they didn't even know existed. So now they have new things to research or to learn about. So I love that part. This year we're doing it again. The second one, it's gone a little bit bigger. Yet last year was only 2 days. Now it's 3 days. We're doing preview night on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday preview night is just going to be no speakers. It's just going to be open with to the vendors, and we are going to do we're going to screen a documentary. It's called Alien Abduction Answers from John Yost. It's award winning. It's won awards everywhere now. So we're going to do that for free, and then he's going to be there. We'll do a Q&A with him afterwards, because he's not just a director. He also he is an abductee. In fact, he's part of he's one of the subjects on the documentary. So he'll talk about the film and also about it being an alien abductee. And then Saturday, Sundays is all speakers. And this year we have a like last year, a big variety of speakers from everything, everywhere. The first one to kick it off is different. It's a dream interpreter and nightmare interpreter also. So he's been on Coast to Coast a lot. JM DeBoard, he'll come on and he'll tell you how he does it, why he does it, and then he'll interpret your dreams or your nightmares live on stage. So if you've had this recurring dream or a nightmare, that's the place to find out what it actually means. And then there's of course my guys on Earth and the Supernatural. They're actually doing what they call their meeting of warriors, which is very interactive. Again, anybody gets to ask them whatever questions they want to know about them, about how they investigate, about being part of the Navajo Nation. Anything they want to know, they get a chance to ask them there. And then the exclusive, last year they did it, and everyone's still talking about it. It's an exclusive to OC Paracon. No Paracon can have this unless the guys want to do it there. It's called Tales from Before Creation. And what that is they perform a ceremony and they call forth an entity called Joska. And Joska was there during our creation. So he knows, and he told us, he shared a lot of stories last year about, he talked about why we have scorpions, why we have spiders, even though everybody hates them. And he did it in a funny way. He said they were supposed to be this thing, but then some Joker spirits decided to put legs, and now we have this, and all of you are scared of them. The one that everybody still talks about is towards the end. He talked about how let me grab a prop for this one. He talked about how when they gave us tongues, when the creators, when they gave us tongues, they made our tongues to be like these things here, like arrowheads, and that is, it could be a tool to build with the words we have, or it can be a weapon with the words we say. And that one really hit home with everybody there, because all of you watching us, and you two know what kind of world we live in today. We kind of talked about it a little bit earlier. Words definitely have a lot of power. So that was a very powerful story that he told us about creation, why we have tongues, comparing it to arrowheads. And they're doing it again this year. It's going to be a little bit bigger. And so I have no idea what they're going to do. Hero, he has no idea what they're going to do, because when he calls him, it's not possession, but Joska, quote unquote, borrows Hero's body and speaks through him, walks through him. And so Hero has no idea what he's going to say or what he's going to do. And so last year he took questions from the audiences. I'm sure he'll do it again this year, but that was an exclusive. Not a lot of Paracons can do that, because they don't have the boys. They don't have Hero and Sean Clan from Earth into Supernatural, and they only want to do it here at Anaheim. So that's an exclusive that they're doing. We have awesome. Patty Negri doing her presentation. She's not doing a seance this year. She usually does a seance, but because she wasn't going to be there. She was scheduled to be somewhere else, but something got rescheduled, so she can't be with us. But we already filled up the seance slot, so there won't be a seance, but we'll have that. And we'll have a lot of other different people. I think it's the only ghost hunter really is going to be Garrett Allen in a way, but he's actually more of a skeptical believer. He's an author. Paranormal's always been around him, and to this day, he still doesn't really believe, even with all the stuff that he's experienced. He still doesn't really believe, but he's made a great living writing paranormal books, including his latest Ghost Crimes, which is about I think Tracy, or one of you mentioned earlier that you do it for to solve crimes. That's what his book is about, from stories from when that he got from first responders, all the paranormal experiences they've had on calls and emergency calls that they've responded to. So that's what all of his books are based on. So like I said, it's going to be a lot of different speakers. While I enjoy going to Paracons, what I don't enjoy is kind of like the reason why I do the show different. I don't enjoy Ghost Hunter, Ghost Hunter, Ghost Hunter, Ghost Hunter, Ghost Hunter, Ghost Hunter. We have one, I think two maybe, but everybody's different. Number one. Two, what I really enjoy, not just from ours, but from every Paracon I go to, is not the speakers, because with mine at least, they're all friends. I know them. But it's meeting the attendees, meeting new people that they're paranormal enthusiasts. They want to know more about the paranormal. And I said it last year. I'm saying it again this year. For that weekend, OC Paracon, it's their safe haunted house. No one's gonna laugh at you. No one's gonna look at you sideways like, oh, you like that? Yeah, we all do. We all like that. We're all here for the same thing. We've all had different experiences. And I said it last year, and everybody was fantastic. A lot of lifelong friends were made. I loved seeing that with the attendees, because a lot of times people, even if there is more acceptance now, people are still a little hesitant to share their paranormal experiences. When they're at a Paracon, like I said, we're all there for the same thing. We've all had experiences, and no one looks down on anybody. No one says, well, Tracy experiences this way, but he's wrong. That's not the way it is. That's right for Tracy. That I always said there is no right or wrong with the paranormal. There's just your experience, and in that way, everybody watching us, Grizzly, Tracy, myself, but everybody watching us especially, you're all just as much of an expert as Zach Bagans or John Zappis or anybody else out there, because everything that they experienced it. That's their experience. They're not wrong. They're not right. They're not wrong. That's just their experience. What you experienced, nobody else knows anything better. They weren't there. You were. So that's your experience. Great. So everybody, whatever your experience is, whether you heard something, you saw something, heard and saw something, if you're psychically gifted, if you just woke up and realized that, hey, I have a gift, that's your experience and you're right. There's no wrong. I don't like people that I guess we can call them gatekeepers. I don't like people that say, "Oh, that's not the way it's done. It's done this way. We've done it this way for years." Just because you've done it that way for years doesn't mean it's right. It's right for you, but it might not be right for Grizzly or for Tracy or for me. So that's what I want OC Paracon to embody, and it did last year. So I'm pretty sure it's going to do it again this year.
So when those speakers come on, are you able, or will they let you possibly record any of that stuff that you could possibly show to other people or go live with it or something like that on some of them?
No, only because, I'm not going to say it now. Doesn't mean we will. I'm not going to say now because if I start saying, yeah, you can just watch it on YouTube later, then nobody's going to go. So,
gotcha. Yeah,
that's actually not from me. That's from the speakers. I agree, though.
No, that's it. That's a great point.
We did put a couple of clips, not the whole thing, a couple of clips from last, just enough to tease you. So, FOMO, fear of missing out. If some people watch him and say, "Oh, I should have been there. Oh, I should have gone to that." Well, yeah, go to it. You can go this year, and then you'll be telling people, "Oh, you should have been there."
I just think if you had a highlight reel that people could see, maybe it would draw them next year.
Yeah, that we can do. Again, not show everything. I will say there are plans to not this year, but eventually stream it live somehow.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that'd be freaking awesome.
Yeah.
What about you, Chris? What do you think?
No, I think absolutely. I'm totally down. I really am. Yeah, that's the thing, and I totally agree with what Henry says, and that's one of the things that I say in the cryptid in the realm is that it is a safe haven. What Tracy believes in, what I believe in, nobody's right or wrong. We don't make fun of what anybody's beliefs, whether you want to believe it's flesh and blood, whether it's, a spiritual realm or supernatural being, because we don't know what it is, right? Nobody is a true expert. So we go off by everybody's experiences and encounters, and that's how we base everything off of. So, and that's the way we do things. So, and that's how everything rolls. And I do go with and agree with Henry and concur with his beliefs and what he says, and absolutely right. So, yes.
Yeah, and that's how I approach paranormal perception and OC Paracon. And whenever I meet just anybody, not with microphones or cameras, nothing to do with shows or anything. I just meet them on the, here in Anaheim. You go shopping, whatever, and sometimes I'm wearing my paranormal T-shirt. So they're like, "Hey, let me tell you a story." It usually just takes that. Let me tell you a story. This happened to me, and I never look down on them. And like I said, I never look at them and say, "Oh, yeah, I don't think that's what you experienced." I said, "Oh, really? Tell me more about it." And I can see it in their eye because I've seen the opposite too many times, honestly. Not at OC Paracon. I was glad that I didn't see that, or they wouldn't have been speakers there for too long. Would have kicked them out, honestly. But I've seen that at other Paracons where these are big names in the paranormal, TV personalities. They have TV shows, and people are really excited. They wait in line for hours to meet them, to get their autograph, get my whatever signed, and they tell them, I want to tell you about this, and the personality's reaction is just okay. I don't really care about them. It's the person that waited all that time.
Yeah.
I could see it in their face. Their face just drops, and it's like, oh, the saying, you don't want to meet your idols. That's it right there. Exactly is. And I don't like that. I don't like that. These people look up to you because you're on TV and you claim I'm a world renowned this. I'm the number one this. I'm the this. My evidence is the best. Yeah, it might be, but your behavior is not the best. The way you treat people is not the best. There's something to be said about that. And guess what? I know how entertainment works. From that, you just lost a viewer. I guarantee you that. And,
well, not only that, if it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be in the position that you're in right now.
Yeah.
And that's the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, well, especially for them, because when the people that wait there for 5 hours just to meet a person, Yeah, they are the ones who religiously wait. Every week they sit down in front of the couch, ready for your show, the new episode, and for you to turn around and not thank them that way, yeah, they're not going
Right.
to watch anymore.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we did a ghost hunt, and I said this before with Nick Groff about 3.5, 4 years ago, and he came out in between the hunt and all that stuff, talked to us, hung out with us just like a normal guy. And Daniel Class is with him, and I thought, man, that was really, really classy of those guys to come out there and just hang out with us. Then afterwards, they talked to us, and then they talked about some real stuff, their thoughts on the ghost adventures and stuff like that. So it was neat to hear those people that were in that group talking about that group, just super nice guys.
Yeah, I can say Dan I've never met, Dan Class. We were supposed to do something earlier this year, but our schedules just got crossed. But Nick I've met and I've known for a while. And yeah, Nick is a classy guy. I've always said that on the air.
Yeah, super nice guy. What you think, Grizz?
Yeah, it's just a shame because when people reach that certain level, and they, to me, it's very disrespectful, because it doesn't matter how big you are or how small you are. When people come to me with their encounters, no matter how tired I am or how bad I feel, I listen because it is important to me, because they have a story, they have an encounter, they have something they want to get off their chest. And I want them on my shows. I want them to tell their story and their encounters to my people, to my crowd, to my listeners, because it is important. And when they get to that level of their achievement or to their status or quo, to where look at me and oh, don't bother me, and oh, you want another autograph, or I need to sign another shirt, or or here's another rim pod, or here's another story again about another blob squab, or a blurry picture of a cryptid, and get over it. If it wasn't for them, you wouldn't be in that chair where you're sitting off in the first place. They're the one that got you there. They're the one that got you the ratings. They're the ones that got you the sponsors. They're the one that got you the funds to get you to where they got you the equipment, that got you to where you got you where you're right now. And that's what drives me nuts in this reality of the paranormal and the cryptid zoology field as it is, as we are today. And it drives me crazy. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but it's the truth.
Yeah, don't be
It's
sorry.
sad.
I'll say a couple of things about that. The first one, doing what they do, the paranormal people especially, doing what they do, you deal with the other side, with what happens after we die. There's this thing called karma. So if you treat people like this when you're living, what do you think your life is going to be like in the afterlife? You treating people like that. That's the first thing. The second thing is, let me give you guys a behind the scenes look at what Grizzly would just finish saying. Yes, I'm one of those that actually, I'll sit there and sign stuff to whatever. But however, keeping it real, when it gets to the point where I just cannot sign because my hand is about to fall off. So I'm human. I do say, okay, hold on, I can't sign because my hand is about to fall off. But I do have other things that I can give them instead. I have, T-shirts. We have other things.
Thank you.
As me being, I've met through radio and all the stuff that I've done. I've met my idols. I've never, gotten crazy or fanboyed over something, except when I met Stan Lee, and then he became a friend after a while. But other than Stan Lee, everybody else was I kept my cool. But also I know that I didn't ask anybody, but I would have loved to have a picture with Harrison Ford or Mark Hamill or everybody from Star Wars and the Marvel guys. And I have, it's covered now, but behind me, you guys can't see it, but there's a picture of Stan Lee and my family. And we did a lot of stuff over the years, but I know that people that want to wait for you, even if you don't sign their whatever, even if you give them a picture or anything, they forever for them, that's like, I got this from Stan Lee, or I got this from. And I'm not saying I'm Stan Lee's level, never will be, but I'm saying people that take, like Grizzly was saying, to people that take the time to wait for you to, get a signature, get a selfie, whatever it is, you mean something to them. Kind of like everybody's personal experience. That's your experience. Me meeting me is something special to that person. I know that. I'm aware of that. So I'm never gonna. I never have, and I never will. I'm never gonna brush somebody off because my hand's about to fall off from signing. But I have something else. I have a T-shirt. I have this. I have that. They may not wear it. They'll just say, "Look, I got this T-shirt from Paranormal Perception. It's so cool." To them, is the greatest thing in the world. So there's that side also. I mean, anybody watching who has had gets to sign and do that kind of stuff. If you've ever had that issue, try that. Just give them something. That's all they want at the end of the day.
No, it's awesome
you're
that you
right.
do that.
You're absolutely right. You know what? And that goes a long ways. And the word of mouth will either make you or break you. And let me tell you something. And I've seen that happen a lot in this reality. And I have a lot of people that says, you know what? That son of a gun will never listen to me. But you know what? Grizzly took the time. He cared. He took the time out of his busy schedule. And he let me tell me my side of my story. And he cared. And that meant the world to me. That's all it takes, ladies and gentlemen. That's it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to make it famous, but if I ever do, I do just like Henry was saying, sign till your arm falls off and then give them stuff, I think that's
the way what, to do it. Henry, they taught us in law enforcement, man. You shoot with your right, your dominant hand, and if you're injured, you better learn how to shoot with your non-dominant hand. Yeah. So, hey, I can write right-handed, I can write left-handed. If I got to write with my right toe, my right foot, my left foot, I'm going to do it as well. But I've got stuff I can give it away as well, too. Like you said, merches, too. So, and that, you're right. But you got to treat people with humanity, with humankind and kindness. Yeah. And people lose that in today's society, and that's sad. It really is.
Grizz is more talented than I am. I can barely write with my right. He can do, he can do left, the toes. He can put it in my mouth. Multi-talented.
I just hope he throws that pencil away after he uses it with his toes. I don't want to be. I'm not borrowing a pen or pencil at your house, Grizzly.
Y'all crack me up. Henry, and I'm glad you made it to the show. I very greatly appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedule coming on. I really do.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you guys inviting me, really.
Yeah, I really do. Tracy, what do you think? I'm glad you had him on. Very talented guy, very well-rounded. It's been a pleasure, really, really.
Yeah, definitely great for the paranormal community for sure.
Wait, does it mean we're wrapping up? We're done?
Well, hey, I can go on all night. I got another show at 9:00. It's whatever you want to do.
Well, I don't know about all night, but I was saying, remember I mentioned at the beginning, you were telling me about myself. I didn't get a chance, and people that are watching are probably asking. I didn't get a chance to talk to you about what I call the haunted mansion that I grew up.
Yes.
Yeah, because and I also have, if we have time for it, I also have a lot of stories from radio stations that I worked at. Most all of them have been haunted. Funny thing is, only when I'm there. Well, no, that's not true. Some other people have experienced it also. No, but real quick, the haunted mansion stories. If anybody hears, that listens to Paranormal Perception, you guys have heard these stories before. But bear with me, everybody else, or Grizzly with me, everybody else. Go ahead and trademark that. Put it on a T-shirt if you want. But the house that I grew up in, I didn't find out till we sold it. It was built back in 1906. Now, I'm not sure if it was after the big quake in San Francisco or if it survived the quake, but it's been there for a while. It's seen a lot of things. Boy, has it. From that experience that I told you guys that when I was 4, from that point, it's like that was my awakening, if you will, or that opened the floodgates to them. And they said, oh, this little kid can see us, so let's have fun now. But it was a lot more people. Now, my parents never really saw anything. My dad was a World War II vet. He was very, scientific, black and white. This is this. There's no gray area. There's none of that. They don't believe in that. My mom was very religious. We all grew up Catholic. I still am. But she was, the kind where we don't talk about that stuff. We're Catholic. We don't do that stuff. So I really couldn't talk to anybody about it back then. Show my age. Like Tracy, there was no internet. There was in search of. There were some every now and then a Halloween special, but there were no Ghost Adventures or Ghost Brothers or any of the shows that we have today. There were no YouTube shows for sure. There were no Paracons that I know of. So there was nobody to talk to that would actually believe in this stuff, except for Halloween. Nobody really talked about all of that. Now, in that house, my entire my high school, all my high school years, college, I came over here to USC to LA, so I wasn't there. But all of my high school years, I knew I was the only one in the house. My mom would leave, she'd go shopping or something. I was doing homework or watching TV or something. I would always hear people walking up and down the stairs, walking down the hall, doors being closed. I saw a lot of shadow animals. I couldn't tell exactly what they were. They looked like raccoon, something like a small cat, small raccoon. Never saw dogs or anything, but I saw animals. I would always, me and a lot of people saw tenants, because my dad had some rental property. A lot of the tenants, the ones that were brave enough to say they experienced a lot. And as I get to the end of this story, you'll see why they did. But they experienced a lot. They would see the pictures would fall off the walls, not like slide off, like you had to push them, like somebody just pushed them off the frame. It would like fly, a couple inches away and fall on the ground. People always thought that someone was standing there, but nobody was there. So it was always something. The one thing that a lot of people saw was not the Hat Man, but a Hat Man shadow. It was tall and had the hat. I saw it a lot of times. I never saw it in the house. I would always hear voices also, disembodied voices, not EVPs, disembodied voices. The one I remember really clear was this is when I was older. My studio, actually, like what I have now, was in an extra room that we had in that house. And again, I was the only one in the house. I knew that, so I was shutting down for the day, and I clearly heard to my right, it was a female voice, and there was no females in the house at that point. It clearly said, "Hello." I turned around and like, oh, okay. Then I since that experience at 4, I've never been afraid of the paranormal. I've never been afraid of anything that I've experienced all my life. I will say with my guys with Unearthed and Supernatural, when I started doing things with them, filming their investigations, doing shows with them, the things that they bring up, they're not scary, they're terrifying. That's really a test of how brave you are as a camera person. If you don't drop the camera and run with the things that they bring out, you're ready for, to do a horror film or something else. If you can take the real things, because they're not cast with a friendly, it's not even human spirits, I'll put it that way. So it's terrifying, the things that they bring up. So all of it, everything that I've ever experienced and seen, I've never been afraid of it. And it's not a morbid curiosity, but I've always had a curiosity. I've always been the weird kid. I always say that. I was the one that nobody sat with at lunch. Back then everybody was talking about the 49ers because they were winning Super Bowl after Super Bowl. I didn't really care about it. I just like Star Wars and comic books, sci-fi. The paranormal when I saw them, and I started learning about that. So it was and I like horror films, but I don't really enjoy them until Poltergeist and then Ghostbusters came out, because those were the two films that were Poltergeist. My house didn't implode on itself, but other than that, the Hollywood stuff. Everything else, the little details, those were kind of like what I was experiencing in my haunted mansion, and Ghostbusters was just fun, but and I've learned, over the years, because Dan Aykroyd is in his family, they're into the occult, so he put a lot of that into the story. So a lot of it made sense. Again, there's no Slimer, there's been no 20-foot marshmallow guy walking down San Francisco. There was none of that, but all the other stuff, little details. I saw that in my house and the experiences that I've had. And then when because radio got introduced into my life, like I said, when I was 10 years old, and I've been doing it ever since. But when I first started doing radio professionally, well, getting paid for it, when I first started getting paid for it, I wasn't a star or anything, but I was given what's called the graveyard shift. No pun intended. But I started doing, late at night, midnight to like basically when nobody listens other than people that listen to Coast AM. So I was doing that. This is a music station, not talk. And I knew I was the only one in the entire building. But again, same thing. I would hear footsteps. Well, to me, it's the coolest. Most people would probably be terrified. But this is when I was older, more recent, 2008 or somewhere around there. I was at a station in San Francisco. And by this point, it was at a point where one radio company would own about 20 radio stations. I think that's still the case today. But all of them were pretty much on the same floor. So there were about 8 studios, 8 different stations. But I was babysitting all of them. I was, again, doing the overnight shift. And there was a studio to my left. I could see, the control board and everything. So I was doing the shift, and then I glanced over and I saw 2 hands operating the board, which I didn't think anything of it because I see that all the time. Until I remembered, wait, I'm the only one in the building. I looked up. Of course, they're gone. So I've seen that. I've a lot of people that were there, a lot of the other DJs and some other people that worked there late at night. Even some of the people, the custodian, the people that would clean the building. They've said that they feel like somebody's following them, somebody's watching them. Sometimes some of the DJs that were there late at night, they were the only ones in the building. They would go to the bathroom, they would come back, and then they would go heat up their lunch or dinner, whatever it's called at 3 a.m. And they would find doors that they knew were locked open, or vice versa. They would find things moved around. They would come back to the studio and their headphones are missing, or they're somewhere else, and they're the only ones in the building. And there's cameras everywhere, so nobody can pull tricks on us or anything. So there's cameras everywhere. So and we look at the cameras, nobody there. We don't even see the headphones moving, except for one time we did actually see one moving. It wasn't like it was picked up or anything. It was just like a little nudge. But it's things like that I've experienced, like I said, my entire life pretty much. I don't say I don't think I'm psychically gifted, although when I talk to friends like Patty Negri and other real good psychics, they all tell me that everybody has the gift. And I say, yeah, not to your level. We all may have. I think we do, honestly, but because life gets in the way, we have so many distractions. I think that closes our third eye as life goes on. But and that's also part of what I was saying about paranormal perception, about part of my. I want to go on to the what's next part, and it's not really the what's not answers. It's more getting us back to where we used to be. And I get this again from my guys from Nerd and Supernatural, back where we are in communication, constant communication with spirits. We don't need REM pods or SB7s or any of that stuff. They're just like the voices that I heard. They're just there. We used to be that in touch with them, where we could have conversations kind of like the ones that are listening in right now with Grizzly. And what are you showing us, Grizz?
Oh, you would love my studio. I've got haunted dolls in my studios. I have to take down the cat balls, ghost balls.
Yeah, I thought it was a cat ball. I just wasn't sure.
Because they toss them at me during my live shows. They hit me in the head and they hit me in the nards. Yes, live during my show. So yeah.
Well, you know what that means? It means they don't like what you're saying. Change the topic.
I've tried. I mean, usually I tape them to my mic boom during my shows, during my paranormal shows, and they just go off nonstop. So yes. So you would love my studio. You would be entertained.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I want things like flying at me while I'm talking.
I'm kidding.
No, but I like it because Grizzly has his own rating thing. Most of us have Arbitron or how many viewers we have. With Grizzly, he knows he's doing a good show if they're throwing stuff at him. They love it, or they're trying to tell him that do something else.
No, I agree
never
with
a
you,
dull moment,
Henry,
Henry.
on,
Never a dull
on
moment.
that. We all have some type of psychic, some way of readings,
Yeah.
if you open up enough. I go back to when I was a kid, just like you. I thought I used to see things, I know I saw things growing up, and then all of a sudden, you start playing baseball, you start getting into girls, you start a family, all that, and then you dive out of it because that third eye just isn't open for you anymore.
Yeah.
And it took about 5.5, 6 years ago whenever mine opened back up by diving back into the paranormal stuff. So
Yeah. Yeah, and it's also, and we did an entire episode on that. Actually, it's also the foods that we eat sometimes. Believe it or not, some of them do have an effect on that third eye, and some are on purpose. Are designed to not, especially you've seen the last few years, kind of going back to what you guys were saying. You're like, well, how come we put all this preparation into what we do, and I get 100 views? Some kid just turns on this TikTok. Hey, I'm here. Look at this. Oh my god, million views. A lot of it has to do with that. Is like they're just zombified. Ooh, okay, cool. I like it. A lot of it has to do with the foods and and all of that. It's a whole different topic. But in the ditch, if I go down that road, see, I learned from
Right. Thank you.
So
So,
after 2009, did you have any more experiences at the radio station?
No, actually, because I still did radio, but I was doing it from home remotely. Before everybody did everything remote, and then I started not Paranormal Perception, but the other podcast that I do. I started it then. I had my own studio at home. Grizzly, you would have loved that studio. It was literally like stepping into a radio station. I recreated all my favorite radio stations over those years, and that's what I still have it, actually, the equipment. But I was doing it from home, so I didn't experience anything at radio stations only because I wasn't there. But at my home, oh yeah, that didn't end. I think whoever bought it, they still, because at the end there was my original paranormal consultant on the show, Doug Carnahan. He's no longer with us. He came over, and then he brought a couple of psychic friends. There are friends also, and my co-host at the time, Wednesday. She's also a psychic. So all of us were there. It was a fun day. We were all just gathered and hanging out, but we went through every inch of that house, and I got all the answers that I wanted. They found that there was a portal in the hallway, which explained why I would always hear all these footsteps. And I don't know who they were, but I'm thinking when I saw those people coming out of the closet, I think they were just passing through that portal. That's what they were. The best one, I wish I should have had it ready. Because we got it on SB7 actually, down in the basement. Because there was a big property down in the basement. There was a guy named Spirit, not an actual. Well, it's San Francisco. There you could have an actual guy living in your basement today, but this was a spirit. His name was Thomas, and we found this out through the site, through the mediums, and we got his voice on the SB7s. So his name was Thomas. He's from the Civil War. In fact, his older son, he died in the Civil War. And then he had a younger son, and he died of he didn't tell us what, but he died of some sickness. I didn't say anything, but I thought, because a lot of people there, including tenants, rental tenants, they've said that they've seen a little boy. Little boys running around. My nieces, when they lived there for a while with us, they said, I saw this little boy. My son, both of them actually, they said, I was their playmate for a little while, because I would actually hear voices from the other room with them playing. And this is before he had my son had a sister. He was she was like months old, so it wasn't her, but I heard a little voice talking to him. So I went in there and I said, who are you playing with? Oh, the little boy. He comes in and out through the window and plays with me. My niece had said that years before also, so he wasn't the only one to see that. But I figured it was probably Thomas's son. And Thomas was one of, kind of like what Grizzly was saying earlier. However you are in life is how you are in the afterlife. He's one of those
that is correct.
Get off my lawn kind of guys. He didn't like us. He especially didn't like the two psychics, including my co-host Wednesday, because they were women. And back then, in that time, women aren't in the workplace. That was just his attitude from that time. So he didn't want them in there, and he got tired of us asking all these questions. Do you go upstairs? And I just told you I didn't go. Why are you asking me all these questions? All of that. he really connected with Doug, with my consultant at the time, because Doug was in the military service, and he was not him, but his son died in the Civil War, so they connected that way. And also, I didn't even know this about Doug. I found out through Thomas telling Doug. He said, because apparently, I'm guessing, we didn't ask what he was, but I'm guessing he was like a blacksmith or something, because he talked about horseshoes, and he had hammers in his workshop. All the stuff in the basement he couldn't see. All he saw was from his time, according to the psychics. That's what they described. He could see his workshop still, so he was wondering what we're doing in his workshop. And
oh wow!
And I asked him permission. Can I come in here and clean out all the things? And he said, what things? And I said, just my things. And he said, nothing here is yours. It's all mine. Because again, he couldn't see my stuff. All he saw was what his was. And I'll wrap this up with this cool thing, this cool story. Fast forward to about 2 weeks after, I cleaned out the basement, because this is when we were sold the house and we were moving over here. So I cleaned it out. Back to that same night though. Thomas, we didn't know where it came from, what he was talking about, but at the end we were getting to wrap up, and we said, okay, Thomas, is there any last things you want to tell us? And he said, no, I would just like a glass of that the whiskey there. And we all looked at each other, like, because none of us had any drinks or anything on it, and like, what's he talking about? And I said, and we said, no, you don't know what you're talking about, but okay. So we left. So back to 2 weeks later, when I finished cleaning out, in the corner, in one corner actually was like an old wooden toolbox, and it was full of stuff you would find in a blacksmith's workshop, which I assumed was like Thomas's, because it was really, really old, and I had no idea who that belonged to. I know my dad didn't have any of that. I didn't. Nobody else in the family did. So that must have been Thomas. The second thing is, on the other corner, I found a big box of whiskey, unopened whiskey.
Oh, wow.
So I took a bottle out and I placed it in the middle, and I said, Thomas, I guess this is what you were talking about. So here you go. This one's on me. Thanks for letting me clean. And I'm leaving now. So have a fantastic life. So I left, out of sight, out of mind. So we moved to Anaheim. A year after we'd been in Anaheim, we went to shoot a TV pilot in Arizona. And one of the this show called for we needed amateur ghost hunters. So one of them actually, she came from the San Diego area somewhere. I'd never met her before, other than letters. Emails. And we didn't actually meet in person until Arizona, even though we're both in California. But we drove up there to Arizona to shoot the pilot. And so when we got there, I went to get gas, and she went with me. And the first thing she told me is, I think your friend Doug came to me last night. And I said, oh, yeah? Why? Because she said she's a psychic. And I said, oh, yeah, what did Doug tell you? I was skeptic at this point, because I'd never told her anything about Doug. So I said, okay, what? But I did tell her friend, because I knew her friend. So I was thinking she probably got stories from her friend about Doug. She's going to pretend she knows. And she said, he I don't know what he was talking about, but he told me to thank you for the drink. And then I looked at her and I said, that wasn't Doug. The story I just told you guys, you know who it was. It was Thomas. Came through her somehow to tell her thank you.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
That's wild.
No, and I called my wife.
That is wild.
Yeah, and I called my wife to tell her, and I said, guess what the girl just said? She said, this about, she knew who it was. And as soon as I said it, I wasn't there. I was on the phone, but I could hear her jaw drop. I was like, you're kidding. No way.
Yeah. That's awesome that he figured out how to get to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool, man. That's a good story.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is. That's crazy. That's wild.
So like I said, there's just a lot of stuff. I'm not psychic or anything, but I would say I'm very, very sensitive. In this house, I can say it compared to that haunted mansion I grew up in. I can say this house I'm in now, it's clean. I'm sure there's spirits that pass by because they're everywhere, but not like that house where there was something happening all the time. There was no rest at all over there. It was all the time.
It's weird. I've lived in this house here for about 6 years now, 7 years now, and we collect old stuff, old toys and stuff. but this is the safest I've ever felt as far as paranormal goes. You know, you would think of any place it'd be this because I have so much old stuff here, but
Yeah,
nothing. And I probably shouldn't have said that out loud.
you're gonna get stuff thrown at you now.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right. So Yolanda wants to know, Henry, does he still come through to you?
Thomas?
Thomas? No,
Yeah, Thomas.
no. Just somehow he found a way to get through her to me. I don't know how he knew she was gonna be, because like I said, I'd never met her before until I came here. So that's also with a lot of psychics, that because especially in my line of work, I do unfortunately run into some people, not just psychics, but just even paranormal people they're doing it just for show. They're not the real deal. Psychics, especially palm readers, there are a lot of charlatans. But every now and then I do run into someone like this girl who is gifted for real. And Patty Negri, she's a friend, but I've seen her do it in person, not for camera, but just like we're somewhere, and I've seen her gift in action, and she is exceptionally gifted, especially when I meet someone who says they're a psychic, but they tell me things like that, where there's no way they should know what they tell me. That's when I know they're for real.
No, that's
right. Cool. Right. No, absolutely. Yeah. That's crazy. That's wild. I'm a firm believer in psychics. Like I said, I've got probably 24, 25 I deal with that are worldwide that I use on my show for the crime scene, for the missing person, and cold case shows. They are vetted, and they are the real deal. And they will blow your mind. So yeah, I know where you're coming from. So yeah. Very interesting.
Where are you, Grizzly?
I'm in northern Kentucky, right outside Louisville. So
okay.
Yeah, I just moved my studio from Lexington, right outside Louisville, back to my home county I grew up in. So yes.
Yeah, my original co-host, the one that came up with the name Paranormal Perception, she's in Louisville actually. So I've never been there. We were supposed to go. We were going to go to Waverly. We actually had it reserved and everything, but 2020 happened, so nobody did anything.
Well, when you do, let me know. My mom used to work there.
Oh yeah.
When I was a child, yes. I'm like 46 minutes away from there.
Okay.
So
yeah. Somebody asked me on other shows that I did. What was my bucket list? It used to be Waverly. This is when all the stuff was going on. Now that it's back to normal, now it's back on top again. Now I do want to go back.
Yeah, if you do, let me know. I'll go with you.
Okay. Absolutely.
Yep. I'll be honored to go with you.
Yeah. I think I've asked you, Tracy, but have you either of you come over here to California or even Southern California for anything paranormal?
No, not.
I haven't.
Not at all. We had talked about going there to the Paracon this year, my wife and I, but we're going to Paris, or we're going to London in August. So I got the big nix on the Paracon.
I can't compete with London. Well, Paracon might be good, but I can't compete with London.
But I am hopeful that next year we'll be able to come to it.
Okay.
I'd like to meet you in person and come check the thing out myself. So
yes. Yolanda, yes, it's they call it a sanatorium, but yes, it's an asylum.
Yes, that is correct. And it actually, at one point in time, was an elderly place.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my mom was a nutritionist there. So yeah, it was very interesting. When she was a child, she used to play in the death tunnel, the body shoot tunnel. So yeah, so
Did
very
she ever
interesting.
experience anything?
Yes, she has. And I never forget when they first aired the Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures or whoever the first person that actually aired it on TV. That's when we first had the DVRs. I recorded it for her. And I'm like, Mom, you got to watch this. You got to watch this, And because they were wanting everybody that used to work there to come and they wanted to interview the ex-employees. Gosh, that was 30-something years ago or more. And my mom literally got real emotional because how the windows were knocked out, the graffiti, and how it was so run down and everything and trashed.
Yeah.
Because it was beautiful. I mean, I used to walk in the marble floors and the vending machine and got gum out of the machine, the old vending machine where you used to pull the lever out like the old cigarette machines,
Yeah.
back in the day.
Mhm.
I was just a little kid back then. That's the only thing I remember. And the ceilings were so high. So yeah, it was very interesting. So, but if you ever do come, I'm going back with some other people later on this year that's coming from out west, and I'm meeting up with them. So yeah, I'll be honored if you come. I'll definitely go with you. So
Do they still allow private investigations still, or is it like a group?
yes,
Okay.
yes, they still do. Yes, they just cost a little more. That's all.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, and you need to call Will ahead of time too, because they get booked up real quick.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Very yeah. Ever
Yeah.
since they got over that little hurdle they had there for a while,
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're filling up very quickly again.
Yeah. When we booked it the first time, I hate another reason, one of a million that I hate COVID. It took me about 3 years almost to get that reservation, and then we didn't say no. It's just we weren't doing anything because of COVID. So we lost it. It took us 3 years to get on. We were on a waiting list, and then finally we got it, and then the world shut down.
Yeah, go
It wasn't
figure,
meant to
right?
be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Grizz, what do you think, bud?
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed it, man. It was great. It was nice to meet you, Henry.
Yeah. Likewise. Yeah. I gotta have.
Anything,
Well, Tracy's
anything you
been
want to plug, Henry?
yeah, a few things. Oh, you mean like promote? I thought you meant actually put a plug in some things. Yeah, there's quite a few people in things.
Wait a minute. Wait, what? There we go. I got you covered, Henry.
Not that kind of plug.
Oh, okay. My bad.
I know what he's going at.
No, but it's. I mean, obviously the show Paranormal Perception. The new episode every Friday, and right there, paranormalperception.show. It's available everywhere, but I found out actually the hard way that on like the usual Spotify and the usuals, there's a little bit of censoring going on depending on what we talk about. Because I mentioned earlier, we talked about the pandemic, and I had some of the doctors on because it was a real world issue going on. And so I found out that not all the episodes were going out, or they were being censored in some way. But I always say go to paranormalperception.show. There's no editing, no censoring there. You'll get the full thing on there. And you can find out everything you want to know about me and the co-host, and everything is on paranormalperception.show. Also on ocparacon.com. Any of you listening, even if you're where these two guys are, if you want to make the trip to Anaheim in October, I'm telling you it's worth it. Not only are we doing OC Paracon, Disneyland turns into Halloween land. It's pretty cool, actually. There's a lot of people to hear because of that, and we're literally right across the street, so we'll be right in the middle of all of that. But ocparacon.com for tickets, for info, everything that you want to know. I will give you guys an exclusive. Just you be one of the first shows to hear this. I won't say what, but Tracy, you were saying that you want to do some OC Paracon next year. You'll have that, but I'll just say you'll have two other options besides OC Paracon. Two other things are in the live events are in the works also with Paranormal Perception, and then also with the other show that I have. So we'll have OC Paracon and some two new things to talk about soon.
No, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. And what's the dates of the OC Paracon?
October 6th, 7th, and 8th. It's the first full weekend in October.
But Friday nights for the vendors only, right?
Yeah. Well, the vendor area, it's going to be open. We'll open the main stage, but it'll just be for the. There's no speakers. It'll just be for the
right.
documentary screening.
Cool. Good deal.
Yeah, which is actually a good. If you're gonna go all 3 days, preview night is a good one to just walk, because the speakers also have tables there. So if you want to meet Patty Negri or any other speakers, that would be a good time to talk to them, buy their book, share your story. Like I was saying earlier, share your stories, and I guarantee you, every single one of the speakers, number one, they're friends, and they're going there because I know they're not like the people that I described. They will not they won't shrug your shoulders like, okay, well, that's your experience. They want to know more. They will be really interested in hearing your stories. So it's a good time to go shopping. It's October, but for us paranormal people, we do want paranormal gifts. So get early Christmas shopping done there. There's a lot of paranormal vendors that are going to be there, and also the speakers will be there, so you get to meet them. You'll get a free movie, and you'll get to meet the maybe some of the actors may come, not sure yet, but definitely John Yost, the director, he'll be there for sure.
Oh, good.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And
awesome.
I just found out. I won't say who yet because they haven't made it public, but there are some local media people that are going to be there. Some may even broadcast from there. We're trying to work out the details. One of them, I will say, and I think you all know which one it is. One of them is home, and it also features the biggest paranormal show on radio.
Ooh.
Interesting.
This is where everybody was like, wait for me to go, do what?
Yeah, I mean, there's only one, so I think everyone knows which one it is.
That's cool, man. You're doing a great thing for the community, and it is appreciated, Henry.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's needed. It really is.
It is.
I've said it many times on my show. I've said it on other shows that I've gone on. One bad thing that I see about the paranormal is that, well, especially over here, I don't know how it is in you guys' neck of the woods, but over here, everybody that talks about paranormal community, there's very little community. Actually, there's a lot of
absolutely
negativity. Yeah, my group is better, or you're this, or don't you know who I am? Kind of attitudes, and like I said earlier, I don't like that because you may be on TV, you might have been doing this for decades, whatever, but like I said, those are your experiences. Our experiences are just as valid as yours. That you just because you have a TV camera on yours doesn't make yours more valid than mine. It just makes it different. That's all.
That's one of the reasons we started Paralink.com, was to find a place for just promote positivity in the community. I mean, it really is for the community, the paranormal community, and that our problem is the lack of content and trying to get more people to come. Yeah. But we're working those issues. We got a lot of cool stuff on it. But it is, without plugging it anymore, what I just have, it is there for the community. I mean, it really is. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you guys, thanks again. You guys are sponsoring Paranormal Perception, your sponsors, and I talk about it every single episode. Even now, we're on as we're recording this or doing live. I'm taking a 2-week vacation to taking advantage of the 4th, because 4th of July this year's on Tuesday. Beginning. I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, here I can take it whenever, but regular jobs. I found out as I was trying to schedule guests. A lot of them were, I'm not available, we're going away, until I looked at the calendar. I was like, oh, that's why everybody's leaving for like pretty much either the week before or the whole week after. So I just said, what? Let's just take the 2 weeks off also, and then we'll come back after that. But even with that, I'll replay some interviews, but you're still going to get all the commercials are going to be new. Paralinked and all the other sponsors we have, they're still going to be new, so they won't miss out on that. But yeah, I mean, I will say here publicly, I like it, but not really the mana feature that you have, because it basically means if you don't interact, then you don't have enough mana to post or anything. I actually couldn't post for a while, but I think I told you, and you asked me like, "Hey, everything okay?" It's just I just had a lot of stuff to plan with OC Paracom. I don't have a team running social media. For me, every post you see always comes from me. So if you ever see anybody talking about any racist stuff or crazy stuff, question it, because everything comes from me. I don't have a team. And at that point, reach out to me and say, hey, did you guys get hacked? Because you'll never hear that kind of stuff from me, first of all. So, but it is me doing everything. And for a while, I was in Paralinked jail, I guess you could put it. I wasn't able to post, but it was because of that. No, if that happens to anybody on Paralink, all you got to do is just post, just like stuff.
But don't feel bad. Chris was in that same boat for a while there too, and it's not me.
In jail.
It's not
am
Tracy.
in
No,
jail.
I saw
Bail
you
me
post.
out.
You posted the other day. I know you did.
Yeah.
I am in jail. Bail me out, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. No,
So
I think,
that's Sean's. You know, Sean's a techie, and he's
yeah.
Right off the bat, we got a lot of spam. People just posting and then leaving, and he thought, I think Reddit does the same thing. They have kind of a point system. So he wanted to go that route for a while until we got to a certain amount of people, and then he's going to change it to where you don't have to have it. Yeah. I've been talking to him about trying to get rid of it. It just
I like it in a way. I mean, I don't like when I'm in the jail, but I like that feature because, yeah, like you said, it gets rid of the spam. So it's just, I mean, I saw Grizzly a lot. You post a lot, Grizzly. I do see you on Paralink, but yeah,
I do about 17, 18 shows a week.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I was, in a way, I'm kind of glad to hear that I wasn't the only one. It happened to Grizzly too.
Yeah. So
I post all the time. I don't know why I'm not locked out either, but I guess I'm just in with the click, right?
Well, because you're the CEO. That's why.
Yeah, the Godfather, right? So
I don't know nothing about coding, so that's Sean's deal. I do give him the feedback though. So
yeah.
All
right, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen from coast to coast around the world, I hope y'all enjoyed the show. Henry, it's been a pleasure. I'm glad we got to meet each other. So you're always welcome to come back anytime, sir.
Thank you.
It really is. Thank you, sir. And everybody, y'all have a good evening and catch our next show in 6 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Take care. And Tracy and Henry, we'll see you on the flip side. Godspeed.
Have a good night,
everybody. Bye-bye.
It's a grizzly.
Should we get out of here?
No. We're gonna watch and listen.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, shit, should we run?
No.
Action.
It's a grizzly.
Oh, should we run?
Okay. It's a grizzly.
Are you sure it's not a chipmunk? Action. No, I'm out of here. Action.
It's a grizzly.
I'm out of here.
Huh. Maybe it is a chipmunk. It's a grizzly.
Are we gonna die?
I don't know. We're just gonna sit here and listen and watch.
Let's get out of here, maybe.
Fall!